Hey everyone, my name is Brab and I'm the CEO of Realtor Lead. In this training video, I'll be going over not only closing high intent buyers, but where do they come from? Customer acquisition. Now, when you're looking at buyers, prospecting them and why that matters, real estate success isn't just about closing deals. It's about building a consistent and sustainable pipeline so that as these projects come up over time, you have buyers already lined up. So the objective of this video is by the end of this, you'll know how to generate high quality buyers. You'll be able to nurture those prospects into loyal clients and converting those loyal clients into successful transactions for the future. Now, let's hop into it. Let's get started with understanding the customer acquisition funnel. There's 3 stages, and this all starts off with lead generation and attracting potential buyers. You want to be exactly where your buyers are at all times, and that includes not only setting up ads so that they see traffic on, let's say, like Facebook, Google, just over to the side, but maintaining your social media channels, having your Google My Business set up for trust and transparency, and also following up via calls and emails for not only attracting lead generation, but also nurturing your buyers, which is the second step. So you want to be building relationships with those leads that you have, those high intent buyers. As I just mentioned, having different social media channels isn't enough. You want to be calling them all the time. You want to be sending them texts, but you want to be following them up based on their needs. Let's say somebody's not as interested in the beginning, they just want some information. You don't want to be blasting them with calls and with texts every single day. And the opposite of that would be if somebody's looking to make their next purchase, let's say their timelines in the next 2 to 3 months, you want to be providing them updates all the time as you move along. And that goes into step 3, which is the sales and conversion. Now, this is turning your nurtured leads into closed deals, and it's all dependent on your lead nurturing flow. You're going to start off with having regular leads, not understanding really where to place them. But as those leads build up, as you have more high intent buyers, you can stage them and categorize them based on what their needs are. So let's say that you're pushing something like CHMC, where they're more ready for that to make that investment jump. Those are more high intent buyers versus somebody that's looking to make the first home purchase, and their timeline for that is between 1 to 2 years. You can send them follow-ups every month, maybe every month and a half, maybe bi-weekly, depending on the intent of the lead. As they need to go through the conversion process, and that needs to become a closed deal, you need to be providing them with more insights and more authoritative information to show that you're really a trusted realtor in the industry space. Now, that can even be something like proactive objection handling. Let's say somebody says that, hey, my budget is this, but my timeline is X. You need to go along with not only their timeline, but understanding their budgeting needs and coming up with new ideas and how to bring them in. Let's say that you're selling a specific new project that has a payout period that's between 3 to 5 years. Now, if that's the payment procedure and that's the way that the payment stages look like, they'll be more likely to convert just based off the need of their payment and their budget holding them back the most. Now, going into this stage over here, I want you to consider this as like an inverted triangle. You want to look at this like a funnel, right? So with lead generation, as we went over it, there are different channels. You want to set up your ads. You want to have SEO so that when they're searching for your name, they see a lot there. You want to have organic traction. So whether you're on different social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn as well, you want to be delivering value every single day. And that's going to help bring out the word of mouth, the referrals that come through. And then for the nurturing, as I classified, let's say that everything is set up. You have your high priority, mid priority, low priority leads. You want to be personalizing engagement based on their intent and also want to be engaging with them on different channels. So if you're on social media, for instance, and let's say that you did a slider based on who's interested on this one project, you get 5 people that put the arrow all the way up on the slider. Those are your high intent people, right? You want to message them directly on Instagram. Then you want to follow up. You want to get their number. You want to get their email, get their contact information, send them more information, right? Let's say that you have somebody that filled out a lead form on, let's say, Facebook. They filled through that ad form and now they're in your funnel. You want to be engaging with them on different social channels. So like I mentioned, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, but also have their number, text them every now and then with new information, give them a call, and also follow up with them via email. And that's going to bring into your focused efforts to close those deals. Now, following the common channels a little bit further, I mentioned social media outlets, but something that you can also do to generate leads is set up webinars, set up open houses, online ads we went through, and then referrals as well. What those webinars, what you can really do is you can bring all your leads all together, focused in their questions and get them answered to show yourself as an authority. Now, consider that you're doing a webinar for a specific investment project. You have 12 people on that call. You're the one person that has all the authority, all the information ready to go. And as those questions come up, each person might have the same question, but now you have one person to ask the question that 10 people have. It's a lot quicker to give that information to all 10 of them as opposed to each person asking you individually. So I really like the idea of setting up a webinar. And then lead nurturing, we've gone through this. So that's your email campaigns. You want to base it based on the authority that they have and also how ready they are to go. So if it's a hotter lead, you want to set up your email campaigns to follow up every single day, every other day. If they're a little bit colder, maybe bi-weekly, maybe monthly as well. You want to give them property alerts, so that can be SMS based on, let's say that they're looking for projects in a specified area. Hey, we had these new projects come up. Let me know if you're interested or want to get on a call to explore further. And then just personalize the follow-ups. Like I just mentioned, somebody's looking for a project in X place, X amount of time. Personalize this as much as you can because this is what's going to lead to sales, in-person meetings, more virtual tours, and also buyer consultations. Now, we've also gone through just lead generation strategies altogether as like from a high level standpoint, but let's go a little bit more in depth. So one thing would be your SEO for real estate. So things that you want to do is like optimizing your website for keywords like homes for sale in X city. You want to use local SEO techniques. Something like setting up Google My Business is extremely helpful because it just helps build trust and transparency when a potential buyer does Google your name. Something else that you can do is, well, with SEO especially, it does take time. You need roughly between 3 to 6 months to set everything up so that you start generating a lot of organic traffic. But when it comes to potential buyers through other lead gen channels, when they come in and they do a search for your name, as I mentioned, it's the authority that you get when you have an entire site set up, you have Google My Business set up as well. The second thing that you should be doing is the webinars that I mentioned. It doesn't have to be that there's a specific property that, hey, I have this property in Miami, for instance, and let's talk about it, all the benefits of it, the area behind it, also things like, hey, we have this school close by, this and that. Like that's beyond the point. Something that you do want to set up though is you want to be focusing on topics like, hey, buying your first home, what does that look like? What do investment properties look like when you're making your next purchase? Navigating the market at a difficult time. What did the market look like 5 years ago? What does the market look like today? What's the forecast for the future market in the next 5 to 10 years? Setting up informational videos like that and setting up those webinars just helps build a lot more authority when it comes to the niche that you're selling in. Whether that's industrial, that's pre-cons, or even if that's residential. And I mentioned email marketing. Now, I didn't necessarily go into the tools and go too heavy into that, but something that you could do for your lead flow is you can set up a tool called Follow Up Boss and have that as your CRM gateway. So all the leads that are processed go directly in there. Now you can set them up with email automations, SMS optimizations and automations. You can share information such as new listings, market trends, and tips for new buyers. Another modern method for lead gen would be helping with video storytelling. So creating short videos is extremely helpful. Something that I went over is setting up things like your LinkedIn page, your Instagram, your Facebook. It's so easy to just record that one video and have it across all channels. But if you want to take it a step higher, consider looking at the actual channel that's there. Something that's on Facebook and works well really there would not translate well with Instagram or LinkedIn. So if you did want to take that a deeper level, you can always consider doing that. Okay, now you've generated your leads. I've talked about automations. I've went over the types of emails that you need to send up. But does it stop just right there? No, it does not. You also got to be making sure that those social media channels that I mentioned, you're consistently updating those. So you should be aiming for posting at least one story per day with new insights on the market, new information that your buyer can leverage in order to make their next purchase. How can you bring them closer? That's all you got to be thinking about. If this is the starting line towards their journey, this is the end point, you're meeting them over here. It takes this long for each buyer to really make a step forward into a close. But what can also happen is somebody can be all the way over here and then still end up back here. So you definitely want to be making sure that once you start off with them, once that lead comes in, you want to be sending email follow-ups, you're taking your time with them, sending them consistent follow-ups, information, new insights, webinars, videos, social media outlet channels, new listings that come up as this process occurs. And then when they're finally ready to make that jump, they have all the information that they need, they have all the trust in you. That's what takes them to the close. Now, when I'm also talking about lead nurturing and I'm talking about all these different touch points that you want to be on, you also want to be on all different channels for communication with your potential buyer. The higher the qualification and the lead process, the higher intent that the buyer is all dependent on you. You come in and somebody is highly engaged, they're high intent, highly qualified buyer, that's not necessarily going to lead to a close. What you need to be doing is you need to be following up on phone calls, text messages. If you see you have them on social media and you have an insight that they responded to, make sure that you're proactively messaging them there. And they're going to have objections. All buyers do. You want to be proactively engaging those objections, bringing them up prior to even the buyer coming back to you and, reiterating that, hey, I can't afford this necessarily, but providing them with the response that shows, hey, I have your best interests at heart and I know exactly how we can get from point A to point B following this objection and helping and holding your hand throughout the entire process. This is not only going to help build trust, but it's also going to help position you as the expert. You want to be proactive with these things. You don't want to wait until your buyer has a question and then you go and do your research and then you finally message back. You want to make sure that you have all the information lined up. So even before they have a question, you can actively engage whether or not that's going to even be a question in the future and be ready for it when it comes. And honestly, that's what's going to take you from a realtor that's here to the next step, which is a high closing, scalable real estate agent. Now that we've gone through this entire process, I want you to make some actionable steps. So, key takeaways. We looked at lead generation, we looked at lead nurturing, and then we also looked at closing high quality, high intent buyers. It's an entire process that takes many steps, but you can get started as simply as finding 1 to 2 different lead generation methods, tackling them, focusing on them for the month. You set up your email drip campaign to nurture new leads and also providing them information. Look and do research into the market, into the landscape, see what your buyer wants to see and provide them exactly with that information, and track your funnels and performance. Just because you found out 1 or 2 new lead gen methods doesn't mean that they work for you. Figure out and A/B test all these properties, look at your conversion, see where your lead drop off is and what needs to be worked on in order to take you to the next step. If you found this video valuable, please leave it a like. You know where to find me, brub@realtorlead.io. You can also visit the website at just realtorlead.io and we can book a session one-on-one, kind of go into this a little bit deeper and help set you up to scale.